Hello BookTube. This video is to discuss my 2023 manga reading and collecting plans. I got back into manga after a long hiatus in 2020, and in 2021 I decided to actively collect manga again. So over the course of a year and a half, I have amassed a pretty good collection of manga. And when I started my collection, I decided I wanted to focus on 7 series. I could collect them either to up to date or to finish them out, depending if the series are ongoing or are finished. So those 7 series are, or I guess were, Fairy Tail by Hiro Mashima. This is a shonen manga series. Shonen manga or Japanese comics or manga aimed at basically a middle grade to young adult male audience. And this manga is about, or Fairy Tail, is about the Wizarding Guild Fairy Tail in the land of Fiori, or it's a kingdom called Fiori. The guild Fairy Tail is composed of any number of highly eccentric and destructive wizards. Foremost amongst them is Natsu Dragneel, this young man here. He is a fire dragon slayer. He has the ability to use fire for a myriad effects. He can also eat fire in order to increase his strength. He travels around Fiori looking for the dragon Igneel, his adoptive father. Joining him is Happy and Exceed, who is this little blue cat here. One day, the two meet a young celestial spirit mage. She's able to use keys to summon celestial spirits, named Lucy Harfilia, who is this young woman here. And together they form the core of a team that will come to dominate, well, pretty much they're the team of the series. Joining them are Grateful Buster, who is an ice make wizard. He can make things out of ice. Urza Scarlet, who the most powerful woman in the guild. She can summon any number of suits of armor and weapons using requip magic. And later, Wendy Morvell, who is a air or sky dragon slayer. Her powers are similar to Natsu's, except she pretty much consumes air or wind to increase her powers. And her Exceed companion, Carla. And they go on a number of adventures, eventually fighting a war with the dark wizard Zeref and the dragon Acnologia. Fairy Tail is one of my favorite manga, and yeah, so it was definitely going to be the first series I decided I wanted to collect. I've also been collecting Eden Zero, also by Hiro Mashima. This is his follow-up work, his most recent work. It's about a young man named Shiki, who has been raised by his adoptive robotic grandfather, Ziggy, on a tourist planet populated by androids. One day, once after Ziggy's death, and as the other androids are beginning to die due to a lack of maintenance, a young woman named Rebecca and her Exceed companion Happy. Hiro Mashima does have a tendency to like to reuse character designs and stuff in his work as Easter eggs, comes to the planet to film videos. The androids seem to malfunction and try to kill her and Happy. Shiki saves them, and the trio escape the planet, and they go on adventures, eventually on the starship Eden Zero, and they gather a interesting and quirky crew. I have fallen in love with Eden Zero from the first, and quite happy to have been collecting it. Moving on from Hiro Mashima, I've also been collecting Fullmetal Alchemist by Hiromu Arakawa. Like Fairy Tail, this is one of my favorite manga series, and I was thrilled to start my collection again with this series. Fullmetal Alchemist is set in the country of Amestris, and it follows two brothers, Edward and Alphonse Elric. They are prodigy alchemists who attempt human transmutation, a forbidden transmutation in the hope of resurrecting their deceased mother. The transmutation backfires. Edward loses a leg. Alphonse loses his body. In order to save Alphonse's life, Edward sacrifices an arm to transcribe Alphonse's soul onto a suit of armor. After being outfitted with automale prosthetics, prosthetics that pretty much allow for full maneuverability, Edward takes the state alchemist exam and becomes a state alchemist. This puts him in jeopardy of being drafted into the military as a human weapon, but it also gives him the freedom to research alchemy more fully, and he and his brother go in pursuit of the Philosopher's Stone, an alchemical item reputed to be able to bypass the law of equivalent exchange, which will allow the brothers to gain their original bodies. As the brothers journey, they discover the truth about the Philosopher's Stone and also uncover a long-running conspiracy that goes to the very heart of Amestris and sees both brothers and many of their allies as important ingredients in the promised day. I also wanted to start off with a Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicle by Clamp. Clamp is a collective mangaka group who have a number of seminal series in their collection. So Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicle is their great crossover manga that features variations on a number of classic Clamp characters. The series follows Sioran, a young archaeologist, and Sakura, a princess of the kingdom where he works. One day during an archaeological dig, an event happens and Sakura is grievously wounded, and her memories, her soul, is sent across dimensions. In order to save her, Sioran is sent to Earth, where he bargains with the Space-Time Witch in order to gain the ability to travel dimensions to collect pieces of Sakura's memory, which are in the form of feathers. Joining him are a samurai or ninja named Kurogane and a magician named Faye, and of course Makona. And they just travel around, and as they do, they become enmeshed in an evil wizard's schemes. Rounding out the 7 are Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic by Shinobu Ohtaka. This is a manga series inspired by the 1001 Nights, and it features a young wizard named Aladdin who travels the world searching for friends. He finds one in Alibaba, a young man who's a bit seedy, and together they go on a number of adventures. The 7 Deadly Sins by Nakaba Suzuki. This is a manga series inspired by Arthurian legends and takes place in the Kingdom of Britannia, or in the land of Britannia. A princess of the Kingdom of Leones, Elizabeth, goes in search of the 7 Deadly Sins after the Holy Knights and Order of the Knighthood superpowered knights have overthrown her father, and Elizabeth seeks to gain the 7 Deadly Sins' support. They were a rival or another Order of Knighthood who 10 years previously had been accused of assassinating the captain of the Holy Knights and trying to overthrow the kingdom. Elizabeth encounters the former leader of the Seven Deadly Sins, Melodius, and together they go and get the band back together to defeat the Holy Knights and restore her father to his throne. And things proceed from there. And finally, Taliban Hanako-kun by AidaIro. AidaIro is a mangaka cooperative. Aida is the artist and Iro is the author or writer. Anyway, so Taliban Hanako-kun is set in an incredibly haunted school in Japan. One day, a student, Nani, is told that if she goes to a specific bathroom, to a specific stall, and performs a set ritual, she will be able to summon the spirit known as the Taliban Hanako-san and be granted a wish. Nene goes to the bathroom, she goes to the stall, she performs the ritual, and she summons Hanako-san. However, unlike in the traditional form of Hanako-san, this particular Hanako-san is the ghost of a young man, Amane, and using the Japanese honorific system is appropriately called Hanako-kun. So Amane attempts to grant Nene her wish. It goes poorly, and to save her, he saves her, and in exchange, Nene has to become his assistant. Initially, this is limited to her cleaning out the toilet stall and bathroom where he haunts, but later she aids him in his duties, regulating the relationships between the living, the students, teachers, staff at the school, and the supernaturals who populate it. This school is incredibly haunted. There are 7 great mysteries or hauntings, of which Amane is the 7th, has regulatory authority over the other 6, and there are a number of lesser hauntings. Joining Amane and Nene is Ko, a young trainee exorcist who initially tries to exorcise Amane but later becomes friends with Amane and Nene, and they go on adventures trying to maintain the proper relationships between the living and the supernatural at the school. There's a force at the school manipulating the rumors, the stories told about the various hauntings, making them more malevolent, more malicious. This antagonists are revealed to be the ghosts of Amane's twin brother Tsukasa, who is a little shit, and the school broadcasting club. And I've fallen in love with this manga quite a lot since I started collecting it. So, of this 7, I have finished off with 5 of them. I am currently caught up with Taliban Hanako-kun and Eden Zero, to the point where I am pre-ordered. Taliban Hanako-kun is, the pre-ordering's a bit wonky, and so as far as I know, there's only 1 forthcoming volume, but that's largely because I think Taliban Hanako-kun has been, the English language physical releases have largely or nearly caught up with the Japanese releases. And Eden Zero, I am pretty much pre-ordered through 2023. I need to check for sure. I'll check tomorrow because volume 20 releases tomorrow. So I will, from here on out until I get it, be obsessively lurking on Book People's website to check on the status of the shipping. But I'm pretty sure I'm pre-ordered up through most of 2023, if not all of 2023. I'm also finished with, and I've completed Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicle, of which I did a massive read-along reading of the series in May, and Fullmetal Alchemist, which I did reading of the entire series in September, and Fairy Tale, which I will be reading the entire series starting in January. So that's my big manga reading project for 2023. Is I will be reading all 63 volumes of Fairy Tail starting January 1st and finishing it whenever. It probably will take me about 2.5 to maybe almost 3 weeks, but I am so looking forward to it, and that's probably wrecking the later part of the last week of December because I'm really wanting to get going on Fairy Tail. That leaves me with two series I'm still collecting. The Seven Deadly Sins I have 15 volumes of, although I will continue with it, obviously. And Magi, which I think I have slightly more volumes of Magi, although consecutively I'm stuck at 8. The Magi's release collecting them is a bit wonky. Unfortunately, there are a number of volumes that are incredibly hard to find, and that includes volumes 9 and 10, which I need to be able to get a good solid chunk of the series, because I need volumes 9, 10, 14, 15, 21 through 32, and then 34 and 35, and I'll have the series completed. But anyway, so I want you over here. So with 2 volumes of my original 7 still to go, these 5 series are the next ones I will be collecting. To replace Fairy Tail as the big long-running manga series that I'm going to collect, I will be starting on Naruto by Masashi Kishimoto. This is a ninja-inspired series about a young training ninja named Naruto Uzumaki who, as an infant, as a newborn, was bonded to the 9-tailed demon fox that attacked his home village of Konoha, and this has led him to be ostracized. And Naruto wishes to become a ninja, to eventually become Hokage, so that the village will have to recognize him and respect him. Once Naruto becomes an apprentice ninja, Genin, he is assigned a 3-person team with a senior Jonin ninja instructor named Kakashi. Joining him are Sakura Haruno and Sasuke Uchiha, and they go on various adventures. I currently have 5 volumes of Naruto, and I want to start picking up more. I'll also be continuing with Nabari no O by Yuhki Kamatani. This is another ninja-inspired series, this time set in the present day, about a young boy named Miharu Rokujo, who has it's a reality warping power that a number of ninja factions want, and he is incredibly pathetic about that. I have the first 2 volumes, and I'm really looking forward to collecting more, which might be a bit of a hassle because some of the earlier volumes don't seem to be all that available. And the 2 current or in progress. I'm also planning on collecting Death Note, which I don't have any volumes of yet. And I'm not entirely sure how I want to collect Death Note. Part of me wants to collect them as individual volumes like I've been showing. But there are also omnibus editions that include, I think, about 3 volumes in each one. Or I could go with the big, massive single volume release that, if you are also subscribed to Criminali, he has a copy of that. I've been thinking of picking that up, but it's a bit dicey finding it here in the States, so I might end up ordering it from Book Depository. When, I don't know, but that's another one that I'm really wanting to get. And Death Note is about a highly intelligent young man named Light Yagami, who one day discovers a magical notebook that allows him to kill people, and he decides to become a vigilante. So the two series that that are still in publication that I want to get to are My Hero Academia by Kohei Horikoshi. This is a superhero-inspired series about a young man named Izuku Midoriya, who is born without superpowers. However, his bravery in the face of adversity inspires the superhero All Might to grant Izuku a bit of his power, one for all. And this allows him to go to a superhero school where he learns to become a superhero. I read this first volume a few months ago and really loved it, and I've since collected about 9 volumes of My Hero Academia. I'm also going to start more fully focusing on Jujutsu Kaisen by Gege Akutami. This is a series about a young man named I'm blanking on his name right now, but he joins a student group focused on supernatural, and when a demon attacks his school, he eats a bit of a dead sorcerer and gains his powers, and he then joins a group of sorcerers with the intent of eating all of the remaining pieces of the sorcerer and then being killed to prevent this sorcerer's evil from continuing on. I read the first volume a few months ago and really enjoyed it, and I've been collecting the series ever piecemeal. So I've got about 6 or 7 volumes, I think. Now, and then once I finish Nabari no O and Death Note, since those 2 series are rather short, I'm going to be starting, I think, or more fully focusing on Demon Slayer by Koyoharu Gotoge. This is a series set in Taisho era Japan. It features a young man named Tanjiro, whose family are slaughtered by demons, save his sister, who is turned into a demon, and he joins a society of demon slayers with the hope of curing his sister. I read this first volume a few weeks ago and really loved it, and I'm looking forward to continuing with the series. And also One Punch Man by One and Yusuke Murata. This is another superhero inspired series about a man named Saitama who wants to be a superhero, so he has trained himself to be able to defeat any opponent with just one punch. I read this first volume a few weeks ago and really loved it, and I'm looking forward to continuing on with Saitama's adventures. So that's my manga plans for 2023. Although I will continue looking for first volumes to try new manga out, see if there are any that I would like to collect. I will also probably begin to cycle through some of the series that I'm not as fond of, and I'll do those in unhaul videos. And I'm also thinking about changing some of where I put some of the manga. So far, they are in this bookcase, but I'm going to that my brother built for me a few years ago. But I think some of them will be going to my headboard bookcase, which will free up some space over there. But I do also need to get another bookcase for the manga because I've got a lot. So anyway, BookTube, that's my manga plans for 2023. Tomorrow I will try to do a tag video during the afternoon, and then in the evening, do another 2023 reading plan. It'll either be the 12 or my 10 contemporary classics I must bell redeem. So in BookTube until tomorrow, thank you. Have a great rest of your evening. Stay safe, stay warm, and I'll see you tomorrow.